I think I mentioned in the intro that you came off when I first started listening to you as reasonable and measured and considered. And I know that you ran as a candidate for the Conservative Party in '05, back when things were still relatively sane. So where we're at now, right, from an outsider's perspective, it feels like the Conservatives have changed from being this party of fiscal responsibility, the natural party of government, the party of grown-ups who come in and clean up the mess when Labour get us into the global financial crash, all of that business. That was how and I think, a lot of people used to look at the Conservatives. But now it feels like that has completely switched. I'm just curious to get your perspective on that for someone who is still ingrained in conservative culture, I assume. Do you recognise that shift? Do you still identify as a conservative?
Well, I identify as being on the centre right.
Right.
Do I identify as a conservative? That is a really good question. I'm not sure I can even answer it because, um, I mean, you're right, from probably the age of 18, 19, right through till a few years ago, I would have happily described myself as a Thatcherite conservative.
Right.
The events of the last few years, and it's not just because of Brexit. I mean, I voted for Brexit, but although I didn't actually say so on the radio until after it had happened, contrary to popular rumour, everyone thinks I was one of the main cheerleaders for it. I only decided to vote leave after David Cameron failed to get a better deal from the EU a few months before the referendum. So I was never an ingrained leaver. I used to do speeches for the European movement back in the 1980s.
Right.
So I'm not a die-hard Brexiteer. Having said that, I still think it was the right thing to do, and I think that will eventually be proved right. I may be wrong, but I would still vote the same now if there was a referendum tomorrow, which a lot of people have a real issue with me saying,
Mm.
because like you, they say, "Oh yes, but you're so reasonable. You're a nice conservative," and all the rest of it. But you have this blind spot about Brexit, and I think, well, how fucking patronising can you get? I'm
I've
I
literally
mean,
never heard you drop the F bomb before, but that's
oh
great.
no, well, you've
Yeah.
obviously never listened to my For the Many podcast that I do with Jacqui Smith. You'd get a lot more than that, I can
Yeah.
tell you.
Okay.
So I, but I find myself in a position now where I cannot say to you, I will vote Conservative at the next election.
Right.
Now, I have voted Conservative at every general election, bar one.